Hey everybody, this is week 4 of my tongue-tied journey, and I'm starting therapy this week. Woohoo! I'm also in the car waiting to go in to get my Rolfing session, which is structural integration. So I'm starting a bodywork regimen. And one thing I have read about in the groups and talking to therapists and different people is that supporting your body while you're doing the exercises and preparing to get your tongue tie released and getting your tongue tie released, it's really important to support the body with lots of physical bodywork therapies. I don't know why. It seems like craniosacral therapy is like the most recommended, and I'm actually not that familiar with craniosacral therapy. I've had it done a few times, but I'm much more familiar with Rolfing, and I had an opportunity to get a session with a Rolfer that's visiting from Colombia. So I am getting a session with them right now. I'm about to. So yeah, that's this week. This is like hardcore Saturn return time for me. I'm 29 and just been going through a lot of different journeys with my health. I mentioned in the last video that I had another midline defect corrected last month. I was born with a vaginal septum, which is just like a line of tissue in my vagina, kind of like what you have on your ear. It was like cartilage. And I went down to UC Davis to work with a really good OB and surgeon down there to get that revised. So they just cut up the middle. It's like a very rare thing, like 0.1% of the population is born with that. But it's an MTHFR marker, like midline defects. So that's been a whole journey. And I had a whole journey the first 6 months of the year being diagnosed with mold illness. So I had mold in an apartment that I had been living in, and I had had 2 years of really intense mucus issues and sinus issues, like being woken up in the middle of the night because I couldn't breathe. And turns out I had mold living in my sinuses. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what happens with this process of getting my tongue tie cut, because it just feels like I've had this thing with my tongue, and I've had this thing with speech, and I've had this thing with feeling like nobody understands me, and I've had pain, and I've had tension, and I've had like all kinds of stuff going on. And you know, now I have a solution, potentially a way of working with getting better, and it's bringing me a lot of hope. And I'm like really excited. Like I'm gonna tell my chiropractor, you know, I'm doing this tongue thing, and she's gonna be on my team, and I'm looking for a myofunctional therapist to work with my body to help me through this, and they're going to be on my team. And my orofacial myofunctional therapist that's helping with the tongue exercises is on my team, and my person who's doing the fractotomy release, the tongue release, is on my team. So it's just, it feels really awesome, this way of approaching healthcare of like I'm creating my dream team, and I'm bringing all these people in to support. Plus, I'm documenting it and sharing it, which somehow is like really important for me to be on this journey and be sharing it. So thank you all for everybody who's been watching. You can make sure to like and subscribe, and then you'll get notifications about when I publish a new video, and you'll also help make sure that other people can see this video who it might help. Well, I did the Rolfing. And it was really good. I've had Rolfing before, but I had her actually Rolf in my mouth, which I'd never had before. She Rolfed my tongue and like around, like up around my jaw and down here, which there was so many sensations happening when she was doing that. It was pretty incredible. Now, as you can hear, it's the morning and I'm stuffed up this morning. Somebody suggested to me that potentially the reason that I got mold illness and the reason that I have sinus issues with mucus constantly is potentially because of the shape of my palate, which was influenced by the tongue tie
while I was growing up affects the shape of my sinus, which potentially doesn't like drain properly or like function properly because of the shape of it, basically. And so I haven't had an ENT like assess, but I have seen people in these groups and other people who are talking about getting like septums in their nose revised when they're getting their tongue tie revised to kind of like work on their whole airway. So hear that, I'm still really stuffed.
Okay, new location. That other location was like, my room is orange, my office is orange, and this is my tiny house, which has 12 windows. It's basically a window box, and it has pine instead of orange. Well, pine is kind of orange, but I have better lighting in here. So this is where we are at today. I just had my first myofunctional therapy appointment where I got to know my exercises with Brooke. And it was awesome. I love Brooke. I'm really excited. She told me this crazy story that the dentist, the Loetta Robles, Dr. Robles, who will be doing my fractotomy, cutting of my tongue release, was sent my YouTube channel by the like laser person, like the person who manufactures the lasers that she uses or something, who somehow found out about this video. And so my myofunctional therapist was like, I was gonna send your video to the office, but like Dr. Robles sent it to the whole office. So thank you to everybody who sent this to somebody who somehow got it to the DDS at the office that I'm gonna get my tongue tie cut at. Yeah, and just for the support of people being interested and all the amazing feedback that I've gotten in the comments and the love. I really, really appreciate it. I know that this is going to be hard for me to do my exercises. Like, I am one of those people who's like, I'm so for it. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, God, why am I doing this? So we're going to do exercises together. I just got my exercises today. I had my first appointment, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And I'm just like so excited about who my therapist is and that I get to start because my insurance is paying for it and I can afford that. And yeah, just things are really lining up with it. One thing that was brought up again was talking about how it's really important to stay motivated. And what I realized was that a few months ago, that would have been like a huge challenge for me because I didn't have any tools. It's a challenge for me. I need tools, but I have a tool now. I have a morning routine. Ta-da! I have an evening routine. Ta-da! So I'm stacking, which I've recently learned is something that is like super helpful for people like me who kind of forget things and might have a hard time concentrating and maybe have ADHD, to like, I'm getting out of the car right now, so I'm going to clean the car. Or I'm doing my morning routine right now, so I'm going to do these things like in this order so I can stack things that I have to do every day in my morning and evening routine, and then I get them done. I get them done. It's like amazing. And it's funny because the one thing that I haven't been doing on my morning routine list is one thing that Brooke told me would be helpful for me to do before I start doing my myofunctional therapy exercises, which I just remembered because I'm telling you this story. So I was about to start doing all the brushing and doing all the things that she told me to do. But first, she said that, you know, because I'm really interested in getting amazing results from this and I'm really invested into the process, this isn't something that she necessarily says you have to do, but she thought I would be open to it, and I am, is to meditate before you start, and to specifically meditate and do nasal breathing. So with your mouth closed, do nasal breathing and put your tongue up in the spot, like where you go N, and your tongue hits, that's your spot. And just spend like 5 minutes sitting and getting calm and focused. I'm actually gonna go do that right now because I forgot. You see the difference? this is meditation. Oh, and I have beautiful orange glow from the smoky sun. That was actually really powerful for reasons that have nothing to do with myofunctional therapy, but the fact that I'm in this house that I dreamed up, and I actually have never sat in here and like closed my eyes and meditated. And when I sat down, I like the sun, I didn't ever notice that the sun is like perfectly aligned into this window. So I just had this like glorious moment in my house that I built, or that I designed, feeling the alignment of it as I work to align my mouth. Okay. And I'm feeling excited about this and telling you guys about what I learned and doing it for the first time, and I lost my toothbrush. Okay, my toothbrush. So, a note about the exercises, because somebody asked me, like, can you talk about the exercises? I don't know anything about myofunctional therapy other than what I've learned on the internet in the last few weeks. I'm not an expert. I cannot give you myofunctional therapy. If you have a tongue tie, you should go find a therapist. A lot of them do free consults. So like I want to recommend that you work with a practitioner on this. One of the things that I learned about working with a therapist is that you get a specific protocol for you, and you get your exercises like tailored to what your mouth is doing and what your mouth needs. There's like universal exercises, but the program that I'm doing is specifically for me. That's why it's really good to work with a myofunctional therapist. Brushing, cheek puffs, upper lip stretch, and the waggle spot. So that's what I'm doing for the next 3 weeks. And I'm doing all the exercises morning and night. So I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna brush for 5 seconds on my tongue. And then I'm gonna brush for 5 seconds behind my mouth, or on the spot. And I'm gonna put my tongue on the spot. And I'm gonna do that 5 times. And I closed my mouth and I breathed through my nose. And I started breathing through my chest, but then I tried to drop it down into my belly. So that's what I was just doing. So I'm gonna keep doing that. Okay, and thank you for joining in for week 4. Also, side note, I did my sleep apnea study, so I have a baseline. I did it this morning, and in 2 to 4 weeks, I'm gonna get my results from that, and those are gonna be my baseline, and my goal is to do a sleep apnea study at the end of this to see if I actually did improve my sleep with my tongue. So, I think that's all. I want to remind everybody to subscribe, to like, and to comment, because that totally helps people who might benefit from learning this see this kind of thing, because it tells the algorithm, oh wow, this is important, this is interesting. So if you think this is interesting or you think this is important, please subscribe, please like, and please comment. Thank you.